What's up, guys? We're back with another podcast from the StaySharp Media Podcast. I have a special guest today. I've been looking around for people that are in my niche, and I found a young dude that's doing it. He's playing the game right, and I'm gonna let him introduce himself. Go ahead, my man.
Hello, everyone. I'm Scott Gonzalez. I'm the owner of Gonzalez Creative Media, media marketing here. And yeah, pretty much what I do is the same thing. Yeah.
Again, it's a pleasure. Thanks for coming in. It's this podcast is very diverse. I have people from all different types of life, different types of careers and businesses. So it's pretty cool. I think a lot of people are going to have a lot of different perspectives when they see this episode as well, because you come from a whole different background than I do. And I haven't met you, so maybe we have a similar background. Who knows, right? That's what we're here.
Definitely.
So,
and appreciate you for having me here too.
No, it's my pleasure. It's my pleasure. So, dude, first of all, I wanted to say this because I don't know what it is, but I get fascinated by ages sometimes when people young as you start a business, because there is a lot of risk involved, and there has to be a specific mentality you have to have. And for you to have that mentality to even take a risk like this at 19 is very impressive. So where did this come from? This whole idea?
Yeah, definitely. So I actually started off very young. Right when I was 15 years old, the very first thing I did to produce income was actually I had a lawn service business. Well, technically at first it wasn't a business yet. I was just mowing my own yard, and then my neighbor asked me, "Hey, can you mow my yard? I'll give you like $40." I was like, "Sure, like $40. I've already been doing this for free for my house, so like I'll do it for you. I'll do it to you for $40." So then I started mowing her yard, and then the word spread around. She started telling the other neighbors, and basically they they asked me to mow their yard, but obviously I had to raise my rates because gas is going up a little bit. I had to maintain my lawn service like equipment. So I started charging like $60 per front and back for the houses, and up to this point I got like 5 neighbors I'm mowing yards for, and then my aunt asked me to do hers, and hers was a good $60. So I started having about like 8 clients, and kind of had that. I was like, wow, I could this. I'm not doing, I'm not paying anybody else. I'm not working for anyone. If I don't want to mow, I don't have to. And I was like, what is this? And then I found out it was, entrepreneur. Like, so I started getting into that, and I was like, wow, this is pretty good. I'm gonna keep this up. And then, so I was still 15, and then by the time I was 16, I actually got a job at this pizza shop, and I worked there for about, let's say, over the summer, just from having the school break, and I kind of slowed down on mowing. And then from then on, from just like being 16, being in the workforce, I just kind of stuck with that, kind of lost path with being an entrepreneur for a little bit. And then I moved to a grocery store job after that summer, and then I've just been working since from that grocery job, pretty much all throughout high school. But by that time, I was around 17, was where things started really to change for me. I started getting onto YouTube, and instead of just watching video game tutorials, on 2K or like Madden or anything like that, I started seeing like entrepreneurial videos on like how to make money on the side, right? And that got me intrigued. And then at the time, 17, which is not too long ago, 17, being in high school, popularity is a big thing, right? Everyone wants to be, looked at, be popular, right? And me and my friends, we were all into fashion, and it kind of dove down. So I was like, well, I'm kind of interested in business now, learning about the stock market, investing, and maybe how to start my own business. So me and my friend, we were into fashion, so we were like, you know what, bro, that what would be sick is we start a clothing brand, right? Sell through, sell in the high school inside, just sell to everyone. So this was my very first big feat at any type of business, was trying to start a clothing brand. So what I had to do? I had to go on YouTube, how to start a clothing brand, from scratch, no money, right? Which is obviously kind of hard to do, being a high schooler. You don't really have a lot of dispensable income to spend on, on your business. But I had to do what I had to do. I saved up some money. Me and my friend were writing up some ideas, some designs for our clothes, and then getting into it. I, researched thousands of hours into just how to start a clothing brand, which is insane. People never see that, right? The other side of the hustle, they never see that. They just see what you produce. And even if it's like, if the stuff you produce isn't that good, they don't know how much work went into that. And I'm pretty sure you can you can also relate to, putting in the hard work behind the scenes and people not appreciating that. But going into it, I finally got in contact with a manufacturer, and I was like, oh, this is different. This is not no print on demand stuff. This isn't just like going on a website, paying someone to print my design on the shirt. This is like quality shirts, right? So I go into that. I've been like looking up designs, anything, learning a bunch of softwares to basically make everything perfect. But this is one of the biggest mistakes that I learned from to this day with my clothing brand was. So I get the shirts made, I get them to my house, I sell a couple of them to my friends and families, and then a couple at school, right? And I still have this inventory stock full in my room, about like 30 shirts. And I'm like, I'd made the biggest mistake. I don't know how to market. Like, I don't know how to sell these shirts. So I just had a bunch of clothes in my room, money sitting there. And like, I was like, I don't have a story about my brand. I don't know how to market. I could go on TikTok, make a video about the shirt, but there's no story behind it. People can't relate to this. So that was one of the biggest mistakes that I've learned from was, if I want to create something, I want to have great value for people. And in terms of the clothing brand, you got to create, a story behind it and why you started it and what it means. I didn't have any of that. So I guess that's one of the biggest failures I had in terms of some business was that very start. And so that's kind of what started my entrepreneur spirit, from lawn service and then going up to having my own clothing brand was really what sparked it up to what it is now.
Yeah. And dude, when I tell you I relate with you when it comes to like everyone just sees the results, it's crazy because at 13 I started very young. When I was very young, like 6-7 years old, I wanted to be a boxer, so I was in the boxing gym. And I did that for a couple years, like almost a decade, I would say. And at 13, I realized something that I didn't have, and that was any female friends, right? I didn't have any female attention. And I guess that insecurity grew and grew till then towards the end of the year, when I was about to turn 14, I wanted to make a change. And then from that day on, all I pay attention to and all I read and all the videos I watched were about dating, right? So I did that for a couple of years, and then I started getting results around 15. So it took 2 years from 13 to 15 to actually get any types of results. A lot of hard work, a lot of rejections, right? So rejection, it's like I'm numb to it at this point.
Yeah.
I've gotten rejected by like 3,000 girls, right? I've approached so many girls in my life that it's ridiculous, right? And I wouldn't recommend it for most guys because if you don't understand the game, you won't be able to understand how to control these emotions that you're having because you get rejected. Because in life, you get rejected by everyone. Not everyone's going to accept who you are. So, at 15, 16 years old, when I got really good at dating girls, a lot of guys were seeing it and they were like, dude, I don't know what happened to you, bro, but like, let's go to the party. Let's do this. Now they're inviting me, right, to social places when they don't have no idea the hustle, all the time, all the stress that I had to go through to actually start improving my dating life. And it's the same with business, but for all the people out there that are listening that want to actually, be successful in trying to create a company, whatever you're trying to accomplish, you're going to get rejected no matter what. It's just part of the game. And you have to just become numb to it, realize that it's part of the game. That's how you win,
Definitely. I agree with that. That translates into business. And your story is interesting with your, learning about dating. I don't think I've heard anybody do that. And man, you're probably killer at, approaching girls now. But yeah, that is very interesting on, like controlling your emotions, having full control and not letting like things on the side, affect you. And I think that happens a lot. Like an example with cold calling, man. Cold calling develops you as a person, like,
yes,
because I used to actually work for a tech company, selling software. This was like last year. But I would cold call 120 people a day, insurance agents, and man, they are ruthless. Like they would just, keep at it. And like you have to kind of get over get over that emotion that stops you from progressing. You kind of have to like kind of numb it away, or what I always do, actually, I don't know if this might help some other people, but after like, let's say a bad call I have, I go on to the next out loud, right? Kind of hype myself up a little bit, forget about that doesn't exist anymore. Now it's the next client. So I feel like that what you said, just putting in that, just becoming numb to it, not really numb, but like kind of overcoming that and controlling your own emotion, that it's not at the end of the world. So I think that's very important, for people to hear.
For sure. And a lot has to do with being reactive um in the physical world. So everything here is physical, but what's inside is very spiritual, and it's really yours. It's something that you can really control. So anything that happens on the outside, you can't really control, right? How people perceive you, how people. I mean, you can kind of control how people perceive you,
Yeah,
but there's a lot that goes into that. But you can't really control how people treat you. It's just out of your control. So for you to, be beating yourself up because you can't control how people treat you, it's nonsense. It's a waste of time. So you
definitely.
should just recognize that that is human nature, and keep going at it, right?
Yeah, that's what I've always been telling myself is like I can control the way I react. I can't control the way someone reacts to me, you know? So
Yeah.
I mean, for me, that's just the best, thing for self-control is just know that you can control you, but you can't control
Mhm.
someone else. So like that's a very good tip, for all the
Yeah.
everyone
Yeah.
listening.
Let me ask you this, because I'm
Yeah.
I'm still fascinated about this specific topic. So I'm 24. I
Hmm.
mean, we're both young. It's not like I'm way older than you. But when I was growing up, every single year technology was improving faster than I thought, right? So when I was younger, I felt like I was the last generation that was playing tag outside. Okay, so now the teenagers now are on their phones playing video games inside all the time. And I wanted to ask you, what are your parents' traditions? How do they feel about you being an entrepreneur? Because at that time when I was outside playing tag, phones, weren't. A 9-year-old didn't have an iPhone, and that
Hmm.
wasn't something that was. It was just for people that were wealthy enough and privileged enough to have those pieces of technology. But usually the middle class, the lower class didn't, they were playing outside. And
Definitely.
my parents were very traditional because they came from the 80s and the 90s, and they told me to go to college. They told me to go to school. So I was just intrigued by, young guys that are doing it. Where do they stand with their parents? Like, how do they
Definitely.
think about entrepreneurs?
So for me, I also grew up in a kind of traditional household. So I was actually born in the Philippines. So I did experience some of that, playing outside, playing tag, because being in a third world country, it's a very different experience. So I did experience both, that outside all the time, and then also, having all these technologies, right? So in the Philippines, I was born there. I lived there for about 9 years. I have a very young mother. She owned the maximum education she has is a high school diploma, nothing past that. So she had me at a very young age, during high school actually. So I kind of pretty much learned everything from my grandparents. My grandpa was a carpenter. He was a hard worker, tradesman, right? My grandma, she was the woman of the house. She took care of everything, cleaning, cooking. Well, my grandpa cooked a lot because he loved cooking. But, my grandma was a very traditional woman, and my grandpa was a very traditional man. And I think that kind of like, in a way, pushed me to try to become a traditional man, in a sense of like, go get a job, provide for your family, right? And after living there for 9 years, learned a lot from my grandparents. Moved here to the U.S. as an immigrant. From coming from a very poor country to kind of like a middle class country, especially where me and my mom were at. It's a very different like world, right? I never experienced this. I mean, I had pretty decent English because of the school I went to was, they spoke English. But coming here, just like I said, is very different. And the way my mom kind of raised me was like, you go to school, you go to college, you get a good stable job and provide for your family, because she told me to get further education because she never got further education,
Mm.
right? She only had a high school diploma, then she had to take care of, what she had to take care of. So she pushed me to go, go to college or even the military, right? And for me, like at first, I was like, yeah, I'm gonna, become a mechanical engineer or something in the engineering field, when I grow up. But then as soon as I hit, my teenage years, I kind of started to see what I'm really interested in, right? I kind of pitched her to the idea of starting a business with my clothing brand. And she's Asian mom, so she's like, what? Like, yeah, you're young, you can start right now, but as soon as you leave high school, you got to go to college. And at first I was like, I mean, I understand, if I'm not making any money off this, I gotta do what she gotta tell me or what she tells me because I live in her house, right? But over these years, I've kind of been like, explaining to her how everything works, and she's been more understanding. I'm glad of that. She's been more understanding of the business world. She has not been as strict as some other Asian parents are. She's kind of been a little bit supportive, but she still tells me, to get a full-time job, go get a stable job, because you got to support your family. Everyone in the Philippines too, you got to support, right? So but it took a lot of convincing. It was not easy to just tell her, hey, I'm not going to college, I'm pursuing this business thing, you know, after high school. I mean, at first I went to community college for a semester. One semester, I was like, yeah, I was like, listen, I'm gonna go to community college for a semester and I'm gonna see how it is. I hated it, bro. Like terrible, terrible. I hated it. Like I was in class, I would be in class on my laptop watching like business videos, right? So I told her, I was like, whenever the semester, and I was like, hey mom, I'm gonna take a gap year. And she was like, what, are you crazy? And I was like, no, it's fine. Like I can go back, like it'll be fine. A lot of people take gap years. So convinced her to, let me take a gap year. And then I got a full-time job at the tech company. And then she was kind of happy about that, but she realized it was a sales job, and sales kind of goes off performance. So, and then she saw the contract, how they could fire me if I didn't perform well. But she was still happy that I had a full-time job, being outside of school. So after a couple 4 months, I get laid off. My whole team gets laid off due to the budget cuts, not because of performance, because I was actually one of the guys that were ramping up pretty well in terms of selling. I was, out of all the new hires, I was at the top. But just, the market crashing and everything, that company wanted to, lay a bunch of people off. So my team got laid off. I got laid off. I was lost for a good moment. And I was 18 at this time. So my mom was like, you got to go back to school, to the military. And I was like, no, like, give me some more time. I'll figure this out. Right. And she's on the fence because she saw all my failures. She saw my clothing business fail. She saw me get laid off at this job. She's like, kind of like, the only thing I have now is college or the military. I was like, no, trust me, I'll make something work. And I do. Like, I start my very first business that kind of gained a little bit of traction, which is a social media management agency. I love doing it for a little bit, right? I did it for about half a year, 6 months. But this is kind of where the pivotal point, turns where we are now. So I had the social media management agency for about 6 months. Kind of got the systems and processes in place, and I was doing a lot of work since I didn't really outsource. I didn't trust anybody to kind of do the work I was doing. Had about like 5 clients, but then like it was getting to the point where I couldn't charge for more, like, because like there's such limit. It's just a convenient base service, so I couldn't really charge for more. Fast forwarding, I pivoted to now a social media management or social media marketing agency. And now my mom knows what I'm doing. I told her everything, like all the details, like this is why it will make money. This is why it makes sense. And this is why this is going to be a profitable business. And then she believes me. So now she's like very supportive of what I'm doing. Obviously there's still that time constraint of me, like, because I still live at her house. So she said, she was like, all right, by the time you're 21, you got to leave. You got to move out the house. So I told her, I was like, well, by the time I'm 20, I'll be gone. All right. So don't worry. So I kind of give her that goal there. But right now, as of now, she's been supportive. But I did grow up as a traditional, like I said, household. But just kind of took some time because my mom was young. I think she understood. I'm also young, so she understood how I felt of, exploring things, because she could never really explore, her youth because of me. Because, she had me, at a very young age. So I think that's that.
That's pretty cool. That's awesome, dude. And you started marketing agency makes me realize that the most important thing when it comes to like someone entering business, like, because there isn't enough people talking about business education, and there probably are, but most people are not even typing this up on YouTube. With business education, I always tell people, young people or even older people that are trying to get into business, that you should study business models. Have the idea,
Yeah.
but then study the business models, because that is going to allow you to understand how to approach this thing and figure out a system around this business model. Because in most
Definitely.
cases, you don't want to reinvent the wheel.
Yeah.
You want to do what's working. So when I got introduced to social media marketing, it was because a lot of people were asking me to do their marketing. I didn't even know this was a real thing. I didn't even know people were actually getting hired to do this, right? When I had dropped my business, it was a promotion business, so a party promotion. So I
Yeah.
had contracts with clubs in Central Florida, and like I'll have a day like Friday and Saturday. It was all me. So whoever enters the doors was all me, and then the club makes money out of the drinks. So I got to meet a lot of cool people, even lawyers, people like that. And for some reason, we'll have a conversation, And I used to say this specific sentence. Yeah, I mostly do marketing because my business is all marketing, right? I'm
Definitely.
not cold calling anyone. It's all marketing online. And this is when I knew it was something like an idea popped in my head. This lawyer said, "Yeah, you should do my marketing. I'm trying to get these specific clients. I'm trying to get these specific demographic." And I'm like, I think I could do that. But I never knew there was a whole industry. I never knew people were even doing this. I knew there was experts, right, of
Yeah,
Facebook marketing and
of
stuff like that. I
course.
never
Yeah,
even knew there was agencies. So it was all new to me. And this is still kind of all new to me. But it's pretty easy to understand when you start studying the business model and studying the system. You start putting the pieces together. But it's pretty cool. It's pretty awesome because the margins are really high, and
definitely.
you could do it from anywhere. So I think that anyone that's getting into SMMA, trust me, it's a hard road. It's a hard road. There's a lot of things that you're going to get good at, but you just have to be patient and find a system that works for you. And you'll find some success because with this, the margins are so high. There was a no brainer. The
Yeah,
margins are so high. I only need what? 4 clients, 5
exactly.
clients, right? So if you could keep those clients every single month, you're living a really good life. You're getting some good serious income coming in. And if you're ambitious enough, you'll find other systems that will allow you to actually make even more money and have more clients. And that's when you start automating a lot of parts of your business, which that's when it gets really cool because I'm
Definitely.
all about automation. I
Me too,
love
brother. Me
automating
too.
because that's what all business is about. And I think a lot of people have this wrong idea of what business is because business to me is all about creating a system.
Yeah,
Legit, creating an automatic system, and then you are the boss of the system. So if there's a piece of the system that's broken, you have to go find the solution for it, right?
yeah.
I just don't want people to get confused because there's a lot of people saying, I have a business, I have this, I have that, but they're barbers, they're working in their own food truck. Like you
Yeah.
kind of own a business, but your
You're
business owns
self-employed.
you.
That's what you are.
Exactly.
You're not a business owner. Like there's that quote saying like if you're working in your business, you're not a business owner. You're self-employed. You're
Exactly.
working for yourself. But I do believe in that automation and what you said about studying the business model. I think that's very important, right? This is kind of why I went into social media marketing and social media management is because of the business model, what it is. So before, when I was still in high school, senior year, everyone was looking, online on when TikTok was blowing up, like, drop shipping, right? It's best way to make money. And that's like, I was like, I saw it and then I looked at the business model, right? I was like, bro, that seems such like I don't know. I wouldn't be proud, to like, if somebody asked me, what do you do? I'm like, oh, I sell these products online. Like, I wouldn't be proud of that. And at the same time, if you don't do it correctly, it's kind of a scammy, business model. And especially when it first started, when people were just doing it, basically ordering for you from AliExpress, and that product would take months to come in. I mean, obviously now, it's in the US, it's pretty much official now. But back then, when I was a senior in high school, it was like, yeah, you get them a lot of money, but at the same time, you can't build that business and sell it later down the line. And I don't like personally, I wouldn't be proud of that kind of business. So I started looking at a bunch of business models. Social media marketing so far has, like I said, the highest margins, highest ROIs. Your profit margin, like literally the profit margins for me, I don't go below 60%. So you can just tell. And like for me specifically, I'm in the construction company and general contractors niche. So my margins are super high. And also like the way the business model is, the main thing I really like about it is it helps everyone out. So you help your client and then
Yep.
you help your contractor, wherever he is in the world. And you just take a little, a percentage of that. Like everyone's getting, benefited from that. And then also the client's customer gets help because, they're performing their service. So that's why I believe this type of business model is one of the best out there in the world, apart from other business models. But in terms of online, this has to be one of the best in my opinion.
Yeah, no, for sure. I agree with you 100%. Um, I think I agree with you with the e-commerce. Like, people go blindsided. It's all FOMO most of the
Yeah.
time. It's the same thing with cryptocurrency. It's like I don't get it wrong. I am an investor. I like cryptocurrency, but there's a lot of FOMO going on everywhere. When the hype train comes, a lot of people, just the masses, just go on the hype train, and then when it fails, they talk shit about the business model, but they didn't even do it right. So it's
100%.
definitely, it's always a misunderstanding and there's no context.
Yeah, I saw
But
that with crypto a lot. Because I did invest some, I lost a bunch of money. But I did see that in crypto. I knew it was like when Dogecoin was popping off, I was like, come on, like you gotta think of it, in a logical way. Just don't chase the gold, you know. So I
exactly.
was like, if you really want to get into crypto, invest in stable coins, Don't
Yeah.
go invest in Dogecoin and lose all your profit the next day or all your money the next day. So that's what I think is people, like, especially, with everything online now, having that on your phone and people making videos on like, oh, this will make you get this will make you rich in like 30 days. Like, obviously that's not true unless you just happen by luck, right?
Hmm.
Like, and people, they don't want, the thing is, they don't want to put in that work, so they look for the easy way out. And I think that's one of the things that social media is really pushing towards everyone, is like there's a shortcut to everything, when in reality there really isn't.
100%. Yeah. So, you're a business owner yourself. You're 19 years old. How do you keep yourself away from distractions? Because there is so many distractions in the world right now, and there's a lot of people that want to do great things, but they're addicted to all the distractions in their lives.
I'm glad you asked this. I was waiting. Give me 1 second. Let me. How about that?
No, sure. Do you think? Do you think?
All right, I just gotta move my bag up. But all right, let me go back. You gotta cut this part.
No, you're good. You're good.
Okay. So I'm glad you asked this question, because this is one of the things that like hindered me when I first started, right? I was like,
Yeah.
I want to get this work done. I know what I have to do, but there's so many distractions. There's, friends. There's so number one thing is your phone. So this is why I support Iman Gatsi. He actually helped me in terms of, getting my focus right. So one of the things he does is called monk mode. You have, I'm pretty sure you heard of it, but you have like 3 non-negotiables and 2 variables. So the 3 non-negotiables are things you like do or don't do every single day, right? You commit to it. And the other 2 is you on and off. So for me, one of the number one things that distracted me the most was my phone. So like TikTok, like I looked at my screen time, and bro, I would be on my phone like 9 hours a day, which is insane. Like, what am I doing there that's providing any value? Like, nothing. I used to like try to justify. I was like, oh, TikTok, I have business people I follow, they teach me like something, new for just like 60 seconds of my time. But that was just trying to justify me wasting my time on this, instead of actually doing something. So I finally made the change. I was like, I gotta start, trying to focus. So what I did was I deleted all my apps off my phone, all social media apps. And then now I have just my screen time on the top on my home screen. So I see how many times I pick up my phone or how many times I look at it. And once it hits like that 2 hour mark, I turn off my phone or like try to like leave it in another room, right? And another thing with trying to focus or trying to separate the distractions so you can actually do work is just becoming, I guess, working on your mental health. Like, that's one of the most important things that I found out with this business. This business it'll break you down, it'll keep throwing you to the ground, and it'll try to make you quit. But the thing is, you just have to persevere through that. And I think taking care of your mental health, even before you do anything in terms of outreaching or even start your business, right? Just working on your mental health is probably one of the things that will benefit you the most, because then you'll be able to handle your emotions when you're getting rejected left and right. Then you'll be able to get up every day and work towards this goal that you have, So working on your mental health, one of the things that helped me a lot was reading, and also waking up early. That's one of my goals, waking up early. And it helped my mental health a lot, because I wake up at like 5:30 every day, and it's just quiet, silence, right? Nothing going on. Nobody's awake. Maybe a couple birds outside. I go outside, take a walk for like 20 minutes, and I come back, and like now I'm ready for the day, and like it clears your head. I don't know if it might just be for me personally, just having that quiet time alone, able to clear my head and no distractions anywhere. It like gives me momentum for the rest of my day to not worry about distractions or anything like that. So that's kind of how I separate my things. I turn off my phone, don't touch it. I don't go on YouTube. I just strictly have my to-do list of what I need to do throughout the day and focus on that. And then of course, I'll have my little breaks here and there. If I'm eating, I'll maybe watch a YouTube video on my phone. Or like at the end of the day, after I stop working at like 5 o'clock, I do like go on YouTube and look up things I might have missed in terms of business. But apart from that, it's distractions are the number one thing that are going to hinder you from progressing in whatever goal you're trying to achieve. Because if you're not disciplined enough to do this specific thing because you're distracted, you're never going to get to that goal. So you have to be super disciplined, no matter what it is about your goal. You have to be super disciplined, or else you're never going to get there. That's just how it works.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's a good mindset I have. My mindset is very orthodox. It's very weird, actually.
Hmm.
Uh,
Really?
I sometimes tell myself this algorithm is trying to program me. Resist. So I just move. I just turn it off, right? Because it's all it is a computer trying to entertain you as much as possible, because that's how they make money. Is to keep you in the app.
Hmm.
And when I feel some type of paranoia, it helps me get away from stuff. Believe it or not, it's the same thing with I'll say, like, whenever I'm outside, let's say I went to Times Square, there's marketing everywhere. I'm
Hmm.
like, I know that my subconscious mind is collecting all this data, and I'm most likely going to make a decision in the near future because of what I just watched and
Yeah,
what I saw in Times Square. So I know that the subconscious mind is going to make some crucial decisions in my life. And I need to feed myself the right things and not bullshit, because then if I have bullshit in my mind, I might be doing some bullshit. So
definitely.
I tell people, just be careful what you're feeding your mind. And
Exactly. Yeah. That's one of the things I did when I was 16, was when I first started getting into, more business things and motivational stuff. I used to, like, there'd be a bunch of negativity around me in terms of, like, just school in general, people like, oh, I hate my life, or like things like that, just things you hear that you don't even like really hear, just like you said, your subconscious mind picks up on it, and then it kind of
yeah,
affects you. For me, like, I knew I was hearing those things. I just didn't know if it was affecting me. So to kind of prevent that, what I did was plug in my headphones and listen to like Gary Vee or someone motivational, even if it's really crazy motivation type stuff where it's kind of cringy at the point, but at the same time, it's just positive things, or like they're telling you how to manifest your life. This positive things to like block out the negativity is what helped me a lot, I think. Because I feel like if I didn't do that, I would be affected throughout this day.
yeah,
But yeah, it's just having that mental, I guess, strength to kind of resist of, see, basically like seeing all these things that you see on social media and resist from it. Like, you have control of your body. What I do is I have my goal, right? The person I look up to is me a year from now. So me a year from now, every time it's 5:30, I don't want to get up, to be honest. It's 5:30 in the morning. I want to go. It's dark outside, so I don't want to go back. I don't want to go get up. I want to go back to sleep. So what I think, I was like, would me a year from now, who is pretty successful doing this, are they gonna go back to sleep? No. So I'm like, all right, I gotta get up. I
yeah,
gotta get to that point. But the thing is, I will never reach me from 1 year from now. Like, that person is always going to keep gradually going up for me. Like, once I reach a year and I'm like, oh, I'm that person that I said I was going to be. Oh no, I got to go more because that person's 2 years ahead of me now. So just, I guess that might help for some people, creating the person you strive to be as you a year from now. Because like for me, physically, like fitness wise, I want to be, muscular, right? I'm not super muscular now. I'm pretty skinny, but in a year from now, I want to be like, at least a good amount of muscle. So I think to myself, when I'm going to the gym, I'm like, do I put this extra rep in? And I go, well, a year from now, will they put this extra rep in? Now they'll probably do 5 more reps. So I got to do 5 more reps. So I just having that mentality of like pushing yourself more, and not have, just being super disciplined literally changes your life.
for sure, for sure. Yeah, I think discipline is key, man. Discipline is key, and I think a lot of the generation is missing discipline, because I sense that there's a sense of entitlement in this generation, that they deserve everything for some reason. I mean, they haven't done anything. You're not going to deserve things that you never worked hard for.
Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense to me. And I wanted to bring this back to just a little bit of business
Hmm.
education here.
Yeah.
Um, so back in the day, I used to work for my whole business model was B2B to
Hmm.
C, right? So now I'm working B2B, and I think people don't even understand what that means. They always, when they want to be entrepreneurs, they're always focused on the customer, but you have more
Yeah.
options. You have more options.
Yeah.
There's tools that you could create. There's things that you could provide value to other businesses. So now you're working B2B, and usually the margins are way higher because businesses make a lot of ton of money,
They
right?
do.
So it gives a lot of options to a lot of guys out there that are, brainstorming on what they want to do, and instead of focusing on B2C, see what's out there for B2B.
Yeah.
And then after that, you could see what else is out there, like B2B to C, like I did, and there's other business models out there. But I think that when you're working B2B, there's a lot of benefits. And one of those benefits that I like is that I'm I'm naturally really good at building connections with people.
Hmm.
So when I build a connection with a business owner, I don't know this, but I may be creating a business connection that may last for years, and
Yeah.
that is building a great network for yourself, because then you'll be able to like really do anything. Because to me, I always saw it like this: when I was younger and I had my boys, right? I always felt like I could do anything with my boys. Anything. We're all together. We could take over the goddamn world. That's the
Yeah.
mentality that I had. And now that I have like people that I really found really natural connections with, and they're business owners, it allows me to feel more powerful in a sense, because I'm able to move a certain type of way and have a lot of tools and resources with me. But it took a lot of work to get to that
Hmm.
position. And a lot of guys that want to build a great network, what you should do is either go to business seminars, like if you've never done this before, go to business seminars, go to events, and start getting surrounded by these people. Because what helped me, the most crucial part in my life, was when I started working part-time with an insurance company. And part-time, I was working for a real estate wholesaler. So I was doing cold calls there. I had my little cubicle
Yeah.
doing cold calls. But those two environments allow me to realize that there's a certain way that you have to move as a business or entrepreneur. There's a certain
Yeah.
way you have to move, a certain way you have to carry yourself, a certain way you should be talking to customers. And I realized that I didn't know this prior. I knew how to build connections, but I naturally just didn't know how to add value to business owners. And now that I know how to do that, it lets me know that it's possible for anyone to really build a great network, because all you have to focus on are your strengths. You build your strengths,
Definitely.
and people will find your strength valuable, right? And if you're surrounded by the good people that really going to value that strength, you're going to build connections little by little, and it's a beautiful thing when that happens.
100%. And I think, connections, like you said, it's probably the most powerful thing in the world, because once you do have a good, set of connections, nothing can literally stop you. Look, you can fail at your everything. You can lose everything in one day. Then the next day, you have all these connections. You call them up. And obviously you built, a great relationship with these guys or girls over the years. So they would be willing to help you out because what you can, provide. So have like building that, this is what I for me is I'm nice to everyone, like everyone. I don't know how some people can just be so rude to like, they're like, these are people too, like why are you being so rude, even not in an entrepreneurial way, but like just be nice to everyone. It like the universe will give that back to you. So for me, I'm nice to everyone. I treat everyone with respect in the same way, right? From a business owner to a janitor, I'll treat them the same exact way, respectfully, right? And I think just doing that by itself, especially in today's society, just being respectful and, giving a little bit, extra, let's say holding the door for someone or like picking up something for someone, like just doing that, like it betters you as a person, but at the same time, like it creates a habit in your head. So like now when you're talking to higher level people, you're being respectful to them. They're going to see that. They're going to notice that. And especially if you're doing something like I said, if you have a strength, these people are going to notice on top of you just being, a respectful person, and they'll be like, wow, normally people nowadays they're not respectful, and then this guy is respectful. This guy stands out. Like what I hear from older people or elderly people now is that when I say yes sir, yes ma'am, they're like, oh wow, like you're respectful. I'm like, what? I thought that was the standard. Like it's crazy, but yeah, like just going the extra mile, providing that value to that person, building that, it'll build that connection no matter what. As long as you provide value and just respectful, don't like discredit yourself where you're providing value and, that you're not getting paid or anything. Don't do that. But like what you said, kind of piggybacking on what you said, just put in that value, you'll build connections, in no time.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, yeah. Because I don't know what your network looks like now, but I guarantee you that you're heading in the right path, because look at the people you're talking to.
Definitely.
It's look at who you're talking to right now, and if they're adding value to your life. Here's the thing, because I try my best not to tell people to like just drop their friends because they're not adding value. That's
Yeah.
not something that I'm saying here. What I'm saying is sometimes when you're heading a specific route and there's certain people that are not helping you achieve that goal, maybe there's going to be a couple hours. Usually you spend like 5 hours with that person a week. Maybe you have to cut down just 1 hour, so that way
Mm-hmm.
you have time for other people, because you are heading to your goals and you want to maximize that road as much as possible. And if you're going to keep yourself surrounded by people that are kind of like holding you back just a bit, then that's a sacrifice you have to make for yourself. But I am too ambitious. I am too
Yeah.
ambitious. And I don't drop friends like this. I have friends that are not entrepreneurs. I have friends that have regular jobs, right? Because to me, the connection is deeper than that. It's not really
Definitely.
about, oh, I'm an entrepreneur, you're not, I'm cooler. It's not like that at all. Right. What I try to do is help them out as much as I can. And it's weird because some of my friends, we went from being just friends. Now it's like they see me as a mentor, which is so cool because I never
Yeah.
thought that would happen. I have friends that see me as a mentor, and I feel so good because I'm actually now adding so much value to
Yeah.
them. And it's a
100%.
sacrifice that I'm making because I am not getting anything back sometimes. But that's okay. I'm cool with that because, like I said, the connection is deeper than that. There's some unique relationships out there, and there's some that are just bring so much good to my life
Yeah.
that I'm willing to keep them.
And I think it's also like the understanding. So like you said, you don't have to drop your friends, but reducing the amount of time you hang out with them is good. And like, if your friend, if you if you can explain to a friend like, hey, I got to do this, I can't hang out with you like all day. I got to do this, for myself, for my future. And they don't understand that. They don't want you to pursue that. That's not your friend, to be honest. No matter how long you've known each other, that's not your friend. Like, for me, all of my friends, that I've grown up with, if they tell me like, hey, I can't hang out today, I gotta do this, I'm like, hey man, go, like, no problem, like, of course, like, you gotta do what you gotta do. I would never be like, like, wow, they can't really hang out, that's, yeah, they're not a good friend. I would never be that type of person. And if you're that type of person to like hinder your friends from pursuing, greater things, then like you just don't deserve them. But like you said, understanding, it's just more about understanding, I believe, like in terms of your circle. And
Yes.
especially with friends who like never really, like, I guess, they play 2K all day, they don't do anything, right? And then they look at you as a mentor figure. But if they actually, go up to you, even though they might not provide you value, if they go up to you and, ask you for advice, I feel like that's a greater like impact for them. Because like, and you're like, when you're thinking like, wow, I see, that you play 2K every day, but just you coming up to me, asking me for advice, I see that you're going to be in a good direction, just in the right direction. You're trying to change your life. That what you're doing is not going to provide you anything. And it's just more about understanding who you are and understanding your circle. And, people, hopefully other people in your circle understand you, which will allow you to, progress in life further. But there's that quote, I'm pretty sure you know about it. You're the average of 5 people you hang out with, which is very true. And
Yes.
that's why I'm glad you kind of hit me up. I'm like, whoa, I'm building my network, and not just in like a growing my business type way, but like I get to know you personally, which
Yes.
is amazing.
Yeah, that's really cool. And I find these because I'm not the only one just approaching random people online.
Yeah.
I mean, I do a little bit of work. Like I see, the things that you're doing and see if like we'll be able to connect. But there's a lot of people doing podcasts now, and I think it's a really good way of building connections as well. I see it now because at first it was all fun and games because I kind of do this for fun. I do this because I am super ambitious, but I'm super curious.
Yeah.
Naturally super curious. That's why I'm nice to people because I'm curious. Because I feel like everyone has something to offer, right? Everyone has value. Every single person has lessons, and for some reason, I don't know. I can't explain it. For some reason, I am wanting to find out what people go through in their lives and what lessons they've gathered through life, so that way I can learn. Because like I don't have to go to certain experiences to understand them. Someone could explain it to me, and I'll be able to understand it as long as I'm actually listening. And you kind of get old a little bit. When you talk to a lot of old people, you kind of get old just like them because you're gathering all this information. And I think this is a good avenue for me to keep building my network, but also, feed my addiction of curiosity. So
Yeah, definitely. And I'm glad, I mean, you are like obviously older than me, and I'm glad like you're reaching out. I'm not, you know, like you're not like a grandpa to me, but like learning from you, like I would still respect your age, even though like, yeah, of course you're not that much older than me, but I respect your age because you've been on this earth longer than me. You have more experiences than me. I can learn from that. And some people, they get, their ego is too big to like accept what it, like learning from someone like, so, like some of my friends that I don't even hang out with a lot anymore. I tell them like, hey man, like this, this is not good or something, or like I show them something that's valuable and they just shun it off, or like they don't want to be wrong. Like let's say they're talking about something like, hey, you know, this crypto is doing really well. I'm like, oh no, actually don't put any money in that. This is why it's not going to do well. And they're like, yeah, whatever. But then they're just listening to TikTok, you know, so they're shunning it away. And they're, because their ego is too big. Their ego is too big to be wrong. And I feel like, you know, if they accept the fact that, you know, if they, you know, calm their ego down, they're like, okay, let me take some information, they'll actually learn something. And that's why, like I said, I'm glad that you hit me up. I could learn a lot from you, just, you know, just by your experience alone, not even just being in the business world, just your experience alone. I can learn a lot through, you know, just life.
And it's vice versa. You know, these kids nowadays, they're surprising the shit out of me. There's a lot that somehow I missed it. And you guys, you know, being younger, there's always an edge to me, you know, like being 24, you know, I'm young as hell, but like there's some guys out there out hustling me. So I there's something that they figured out that I didn't figure out yet. And that's why, like, I'm curious about, it doesn't matter what age you are, like I said, vice versa. You know, there's a lot of things that I wanted to ask you, because you have a whole different life. You have a lot of different lessons and a lot of different experiences. And maybe some of our experiences are similar, maybe some of the lessons are similar as well, but they're definitely, we don't live that identical lives. So obviously you're going to have different experiences and different lessons. So and that right there lets me know that if people were a little bit more curious about the world, they were more open. It's a ego dissolving thing to be curious, right? The more curious you are, the more interested and easy it is for you to destroy old ideas and include new ideas into your mind. And people that are not willing to destroy old ideas are people that are going to be ignorant for a very long time.
Definitely. And I'm glad you're like not envious towards younger people. Because I mean, there's still younger people than me that are 16 doing way better, right? I'm not envious towards them. I just, you know, I'm curious, like, how did you do, you know, like so young, you understand everything. Like when I was 16, I didn't know anything. So I'm glad you're not an envious person towards younger people. I mean, it's I guess we can blame social media and like, you know, the internet in terms of where we are. Like, it's not normal for me to be in this stage, or anybody younger who were like, let's say a 16-year-old who's super successful. That's not normal. Like by 24, we're supposed to just get out of college and go find a job. Like, so like you not being envious and like actually taking action towards what you want to do is amazing. Like it's very inspiring. Like for me, like sometimes I get caught up too much, right? I'm like too stressed. I'm like, you know, I'm too young to be experiencing this, but at the same time, I'm like, yeah, I'm too young. It's not supposed to happen, but like, you know, you're doing it, you got to do it. And it's just, I guess, learning, or like for me, like I said, when I get stressed, I take a step back. I'm like, listen, you're doing a lot for your age already. Don't stress yourself out too much. Like you're not even supposed to be doing this. Just take it one step at a time and go back to it, go back to it. But I'm just glad that you're not that type of person, and that you want to learn even from younger guys, which, you know, some people, their ego, like I said, their ego is too big to learn from younger people. But I'm glad you see it this way.
Yeah. And it just has to do with age being outside out of the even. It doesn't even make any sense to me to be as curious as I am and restrict myself on my curiosity because of someone's age, right? So I ignore a lot of things. I ignore age, I ignore height, I ignore career choices. You know, I used to listen to a lot of homeless people, but then homeless people's lessons became repetitive for some, maybe it was my area, but then I stopped, you know, being curious about homeless people for a while. But like that's just the how curious I am, you know, like I would talk to a homeless person for a whole hour, trying to like look at their whole life, and I'm trying to gather some lessons, because I think there's like after you're curious and you have all this information in your head, all these lessons and experiences, that equals wisdom. And with that wisdom, you can help so many people that you love. You can help yourself, because now with this wisdom, there's a sense of direction and a sense of understanding of how the world works. And when you understand the basics of how the world works, you start to have a little bit more clarity about where you're going and how you want to live your life. And to me, you know, at 15, 16 years old, I told myself I wanted to live a very peaceful but simple life. So for me to do that, I have to create systems throughout my whole life. With fitness, I have to create a system that's very simple, and I just go and do it. Dating is the same thing. Keep it very simple, not overdo it, because then it's like you're kind of restricted because then you can't spend your time everywhere. So you have to like
Yeah.
just these areas that I find very valuable to me: fitness, dating, relationships, business. I try to find the best systems possible to have a very peaceful life, but then again, very easy to understand and have a lot of clarity behind that.
100%, 100%. I believe in that too. Like having the systems in place and like just creating that, I guess, and not making it too overcomplicated. I think that's a real problem for some people. They think too hard about it. You know, they overthink how their system should be. Like they're putting too many things in place. Like you don't need that many. Just focus on this one thing first, and then maybe build out or like refine your process later on. But
Yeah.
yeah, just that's a great tip.
What is your advice to young guys that are stretching their attention too far when it comes to just being an entrepreneur? So they got a closing line over here, they got this over here, they're doing this and they're doing that, and they're doing a bunch of shit. And their excuse is, I'm trying to gain experiences. What do you say to that?
So there's this book I read. Let me get it real quick. That teaches about this specifically. The Common Path to Uncommon Success by John Lee Dumas. Highly recommend. He talks about this very topic about going either 1 mile deep and 1 inch wide, or 1 inch deep and 1 mile wide. So if you're an entrepreneur, you like all these sorts of things, my advice to you is to focus on one thing. Go 1 mile deep in that one thing and 1 inch wide. 1 mile deep. Focus on one thing for 6 months, a year, right? Just that's what you have to do. And then if when you reach success in that, or if you don't, you gained experience from that, and now you move on to the next, and just going 6 to 12 months of just purely, strictly on just focus on one thing, you're going to gain more more experience from that than spreading out all across boards and spending a month on each thing, right? So focus on one thing, and then once you gain success or whatever traction or experience, now you can kind of spread out, test the waters on different things. But you have to commit to one thing at first. You can't be too all over the place, because then all your focus is going to go everywhere instead of just on one thing. If you focus on one thing only, this is my number one advice, because I had to experience this the hard way. Just focus on one thing and keep going at it no matter what.
Yeah, because I always thought that it was like two stages to this, is where you're stretching your mind too much because you have so many different ideas and you start a few and then you stop, or you're actively actually having all these things in place and you're actually taking action towards them, but it's so much shit. Like, dude, I don't know how you'll be able to like maximize one of these ideas if you're not going all in on it for at least a little bit to see what type of results you get. But because I've been seeing this a lot with very young entrepreneurs, they're just stretching themselves out, and I think it has to do a lot with the distractions as well. Like TikTok, if they're listening to like business stuff, there's so many people making videos about ideas, business ideas, and they're like, oh shit, I gotta try that. I'm gonna try this. I'm gonna try that, and by the end, you haven't accomplished anything. So you really don't want to be there. You don't want to put yourself in that position.
I guess looking at it in another way is also like, if somebody can guarantee you, if you focus on this one thing for 5 years, right? But you can't get anything up until that 5-year mark. Like you won't get any money or anything, right? Until that 5-year mark. Will you do that? But it's guaranteed success after 5 years. Or will you do, spread out your interests in all these different things in 5 years and then end up with nothing at the end?
Exactly.
So, you kind of have those two options, and just focusing on one thing and not getting distracted by all the gold. They want you to chase the gold. Don't chase the gold no matter what. Being an entrepreneur, you are, spread out in multiple income streams, but you got to get to that point by sticking to one thing first and going 100%. And you can't put 10% on each little thing, because you're not going to get anywhere with just 10%. But if you focus on one thing, put 100% in, look at the results you're going to get,
Exactly.
And that's like, I guess another analogy here to maybe so people can understand better is, if there's an athlete who does multiple sports, right? A bunch of sports, but then they can't go to every practice. They miss practice. Let's say this basketball player, right? I played basketball in high school for a little bit, but let's say there's a basketball player, but he's also a soccer player. He's also a swimmer. He's also a baseball player. And he missed like 3 days of basketball practice. Is that person going to be better than this person over here who only plays basketball every day all his life? Like, Think about it. Like those are your competitors. Your competitors are the ones going 100%. You can't put 10% and expect an outcome. You got to go 100% at the same time, you know? Yeah, and then that's when your two heads collide and see whoever is best comes out on top. You got to
Yeah.
see it in that way. You can't give it just a little bit of your work and expect a result. You will never find a result if you're far too spread out.
Yeah. Yeah. And you know, do you usually have a vision board of like a span of 5 years or 10 years? Do you do that at all?
I recently did that. So before I switched from my social media management, I created a 5-year board and then also a 1-year board. So my 5 years, because this was like a problem I had when I still had my social media management agency. I didn't have a clear vision. And I knew before, whenever I set goals before, I was like, okay, if I set this goal, I'm going to focus on this one thing. I have it written. I have, a picture of it. Like, I know what I want. I'm going to get it. And it works. Like, I achieved that goal and I got what I wanted. But like, I was thinking, I got me stressed out. I was like, okay, I don't know what I want in 5 years. I was like, all right, let me take some time down, really think about it and draw it out, write it out who I see myself as in 5 years. And now I have a clear path of where I want to be. And if I ever steer away from that path, I could look at it again and like, okay, I have to go back on there. And now I know what I want in 5 years. And then, well, to break it down more, obviously 5 years is a lot to think about. And, so I have my 1-year plan. Now, okay, this is what I have to do to get to this 1-year goal. I have to do this. And then if I steer away from it, I'm not going to reach it. So I got to go back. So yeah, writing out your 1 to 5 to 10 year plan is a very good thing because you have a clear vision of what you need to do to get to that goal.
Yeah. Because I also did I think it was like a year plan. I never expanded to 5 to 10 years because it depends what plan you're doing. If it's like business wise, or is it just like who you want to be? So I'm more, I'm more active on like who you want to be in 5 to a year.
Yeah.
And because like the business, you're not 100% sure if you're going to hit those numbers or not. And then when you don't hit it, it's kind of like an ego thing. Like, you kind of beat yourself up for not even achieving that goal. But I don't do it for that reason. I do it because I'm not in control of what happens in my bank account. Some type of control, but like not fully. You can't really tell the future. But you can always feed your mind unconsciously those messages. Because most likely it could happen. So with the 1 to 5 year plan of who you want to be, it's so cool because if you see it once in a while, you look at it once in a while, it's like you're constantly becoming that person more and more. And then because I get very specific, how do I want to walk in 1 year?
Definitely.
Right? How do I want to think? How do I want to talk? Right? How do I see myself expressing myself to other people? Right? And I go that deep because I have a clear vision of who I am right now, and I have a clear vision of who I want to become. And a lot of those things you could fake it, to be honest. Honestly, you could really fake who you want to be and really be that person. I came from a very bad place, like bad neighborhood. So a lot of the people that I saw never had vision boards or nothing like that. What they did have was, I think they knew that the life that they were living, their experiences themselves were going to change in every single year, so you can have something like that. You can have one person that doesn't have a visionary board, but they know they're going to be constantly changing because the environment is so tough and they have to be constantly keep adapting. And but when I get too comfortable, that's when I start creating vision boards, to be honest, because I don't have to go outside and worry about me getting robbed, because that's 70% of my whole life was like that. I have to like really, my primal instincts were on top. Like my awareness was on top. So I was constantly getting sharper and sharper with my awareness. And that just happened naturally because of that environment. But then when you know your privilege, you really got to put yourself in, you have to hold yourself in a very high standard and really push yourself to be a really good person and a strong person. Because when the environment is not doing that for you, you have to do that for yourself, because you don't want to become soft. In business, sometimes you have to be ruthless. And you can't be ruthless if you always been very comfortable in your life.
100%. I agree with that a lot. I believe like being too comfortable is one of the worst things that can happen to you, because you don't grow at all. You might think you're growing, watching YouTube videos, but you're not growing. You have to put yourself in an uncomfortable situation. Like for me, before, I could not speak like to people like normal, right? Like I just didn't have that confidence. And I was like, I mean, watching YouTube videos, yeah, sure, they'll give me tips, but in reality, that's not gonna help me. I actually got to do the thing. So what I started doing, I started saying hello to everyone I saw. Every person I saw walking across the street or walking across me, or at the shop or someone at Starbucks, talking to the barista. Like, just you have to put yourself in that position, in that uncomfortable position. But at the end, it's gonna pay off, from what you're trying to get to. So like, you're not gonna. I wouldn't. If I stayed in my room watching YouTube videos on how to talk to people, I wouldn't have gotten to where I am now. Without, I have to take. You have to take that action. You can't be too comfortable. And like you said, growing up in, like, if you grow up in a privileged, area or neighborhood, you have to put yourself in that position. You have to be self-aware that you're in a privileged, position first. Be self-aware, and once you're self-aware, now now figure out how you gotta, make yourself uncomfortable in a way to grow. So
Exactly.
I really do believe in that. You can't be too comfortable. You're not gonna get anywhere.
Yeah. And yeah, I made a video about this. I think like 2 weeks ago. I was explaining how most people don't know who they are, so you will never have full clarity of anything because you don't know who you are. So you have to really like get to know yourself. And as weird as it sounds, I tell people sometimes like you should be able to communicate with yourself as well, right? Because you're constantly communicating with yourself, but you don't know that. You're kind of like
Hmm.
unaware. You think your thoughts are your thoughts, and they come out of nowhere. And some of them, 90% of my thoughts, I kind of ignore them because they don't hold any value, right? But some of them I do, and then I also communicate with myself. I let myself know, like when I wake up in the morning and for some reason, I don't feel like working at all. You're always gonna have those days. I have no wiggle room. I legit destroy all negotiations with myself. I legit tell myself, no, boom, I get up. No, boom, I just get up and just no, don't negotiate. Most people are negotiating with themselves, and that's the more you negotiate yourself, the most likely you're not going to do the things that you wanted to do in the first
Yeah.
place.
To be honest, that's probably harder than actually doing the thing. Like, for example, waking
That's
up.
so
For me, I
true.
used to do 3, 2, 1, get up, and then like just be sitting in bed thinking about getting up. It's harder than actually getting up because once you're up, you're good and stuff. So most of the time, the thing you're thinking of is harder than actually the actual, the physical thing that you're gonna do. Like, just have to get over it. Like you said, you would say no and just get up. Some
Yeah,
people can the 3, 2, 1 tactic. 3, 2, 1, you just get up, or you just get up. Like, just know, I guess, see the light at the end of the tunnel. For that 1 minute you're laying in bed thinking about getting up. See it like, well, if I get up now, like I won't have to feel this again or whatever,
yeah,
right? So yeah, just knowing, like, being self-aware. And I guess kind of going off a little bit off topic here with self-awareness, like, this is why I admire people who know what they want. Like, if somebody knows, I want to go to college, I'm going to be a teacher. They know, obviously, being a teacher is not going to pay a lot, but and then that's what they want to do. That's what's going to fulfill them. And I admire that. I don't, they're not going to be an entrepreneur or a business owner. It's just not in them. But I admire the fact that they know what they want to do, because that's a very rare thing, especially in today's world, is knowing what you want to do. And like with me, like, I'm pretty sure you relate too. Like, we didn't really know where we're gonna end up or what we want to do in the future because everything's changing. But now we kind of have a general idea. So if you don't know what you want to do, at least have, like, create a general idea of where you see yourself, and that might help. For me, like, specifically, I don't know what I want to do like 100%, but I know I want to be in the business world. I want to be in real estate and in the digital world. That's where I want to be in. Like, like I said, not specific, but at least I have a path towards that. So just like being self-aware, knowing, like, it's amazing.
yeah. You just reminded me when you said 1, 2, 3. I used to at 14, 15, I had a buddy of mine that was doing the dating stuff with me. So we used to
Yeah.
go to the mall together. We had like we used to take the city bus to go to the malls and go find girls to like approach and just talk to them. So we used to tell each other 1, 2, 3, and you just go approach, because the more you let your mind, right, think about this whole idea of what's going on, the more anxiety you're going to create for yourself. So
Definitely.
yeah, that's a big one. 1, 2, 3, boom,
It's
just
like
go.
thinking about it too much is putting yourself through it twice. If you think about, okay, I got to do this, don't sit there, because then now you're gonna go through it twice if the worst thing you're
Yeah,
thinking actually happens.
yeah.
So yeah, that's, I mean, one attack is 1, 2, 3.
Yeah. And something like to piggyback what you were just saying about having a clear vision of where you want to be at. Even if you have no idea where you're going to be at next year or in 2 years or 3 years, at least do a month, right? What do you want to be? Where do you want to be in a month, right? What do you want to accomplish in 1 month? You know, it's a start. So even if you can't have a clear vision of long term, then start short term. So that way you could get some shit going.
Yeah.
Because
Also creates a good habit too.
exactly. And habits are hard to come around because most people have bad habits. They don't really have good
100%.
habits. You know, like I said, I think that one of the major problems in America, which it's crazy that I'm even saying this because America, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
so a country is a first world country, and their problem is distractions.
Yeah.
Oh, like it's crazy, right? But it's such a major
Especially.
problem. It's such a major problem. Like I'm like, dude, if you go to any South American countries, they got major problems. They're not
100%.
distractions is not part of their fucking problems, but
Yeah.
distraction is a big problem in America and is holding a lot of people back. And I think that what's going on right now, I love what's going on because a lot of entrepreneurs are going digital, and there's going to be a new generation. I don't know what's going to happen in a few years because it's moving really quick.
Hmm.
But this is new generation that's all digital. So I wonder what's going to happen with all of these retail stores and retail anything that has to do with retail. I wonder what's going to happen between 15 to 20 years from now, because I have a buddy. He's probably gonna watch this podcast. He knows how I felt about when he had a clothing line and he went retail. Like I was
Hmm.
telling him, dude, I don't know if that's the best way to do it, but go try it out. You may get some good experiences from it, right? And I'm sure he did get experiences from it. But like I think retail is legit dying in certain industries.
It really is. You can tell by if you go to a mall, empty malls are empty now. Like actually, you go to a mall, like there's a bunch of stores that are closed because they went online or just ran. They went out of business because being physical. And the thing is, physical is a good idea, like a good concept, because then you get to actually experience, being in that store. But it's just the thing, it's bad for business owners because all that overhead cost that they have to,
Yeah,
deal with. And for customers, it's amazing. Like, if I was a customer and like, let's say there's this clothing brand that was online, but they have a retail store, I want to go in that retail store and experience, their quality products, right? But that's for the customer. But for the business owners, you can't, they can't help that they have to pay, however much it is for that building, and that's killing them. And then they realize, well, online, I don't have to pay for a building or anything, or insurance or
yeah.
anything like that. So I think it will go down further in terms of retail stores going out of business or just going online. I think that will happen. Like I said, or like you said, kind of hard to predict, 15 to 20 years from now. But I mean, I guess we just gotta wait, right?
Yeah, exactly. We just follow the trend, and we come to like, conclusions, but you just never know because it seems like the internet's the new mall. It's ridiculous. Like every business out there. There's so many businesses now online. It's crazy because I think I started like watching YouTube in 2008, 2009. And there was a lot of businesses that didn't even have a YouTube account that they do now, which is cool because now it's
Yeah,
like it opens up a lot of different careers and different jobs for a lot of people. Like now they have to manage
it
this whole
does.
social media, and it's pretty cool because now it's like I say this to a lot of guys that are lost. Dude, like you have no idea the things that you could do on the internet now. Like you can have a regular job, do your thing, but if you want different options, dude, go study how to make YouTube thumbnails. Legit, like there's
Exactly.
people making full-time money out of doing YouTube thumbnails. Like that's incredible. In your
It
house,
really is.
in your little office, or in your
In your
bed,
own room, yeah.
yeah. Study how to edit videos for 6 months. Focusing on that, you will get clients as long as you have a resume, because there is a lot of
Yeah.
competition now. People are seeing the trend, and when people are moving a direction, there's certain things that people are going to find valuable that weren't valuable back in the day, and you should be able to start because I see this as a movie, right? This is a movie,
Hmm.
or this is a video game, and you are the main character, and if you add these attributes to yourself, then you'll be able to really use these attributes to your own advantage and really add value to a lot of people. So if you're not adding the right value, it will reflect on your income, right? Because if
100%.
look, this is the thing I noticed in social media marketing that I didn't notice back in the day. There's more roofing companies, because that's the niche that my brother's
Yeah.
working on. There's more roofing companies that are making six figures than ever before, probably because so many kids, this new generation it's just online. And the people that were roofing and the people that were on construction, it's like they're struggling finding workers. And that is crazy to me. Like
Yeah.
the trucking industry, the same thing. They're constantly hiring new drivers because so many kids are not finding any interest on those things. So
100%.
it's pretty cool to see that things are changing and a lot of people are adapting. And I think that you and me are the people that are adapting, and the results will show.
100%. No, I totally agree with that. And I feel like it forces the physical, I guess, since we're in digital, it forces the physical like businesses to like adapt to change. So like Tesla is coming out with their own, self-driving, trucks, which obviously right now it sounds crazy. You're driving next to a truck that has no driver. Sounds crazy, but if you 20 years from now, we don't know what the roads can be. We don't like all these jobs are like, that's why I think number one thing is to learn a skill that's timeless, right? Even if you just want to work a regular job, you still have to have a skill for that regular job. So learn this, just at least on the side, learn a skill, and you have YouTube, Google, everything's free. You can learn anything for free. Learn a skill just, on the side, just to have, because you never know. Like, let's say if you're a cashier, you might get replaced by, in 10 years because of some new technology advancements, right?
Yeah,
Like self-checkout's a thing now, and they're pushing self-checkout way more and more when I was working at the grocery store. So like you gotta kind of adapt to the change, unless, or you're gonna be stuck. And if you just want to be a regular person, you just want to work a regular job, you still have to adapt. You still have to
yeah,
improve your skills. If you want to work at a grocery store as a stalker for your whole life, you can, but you got to remember, you can't complain about people doing this job, on the internet in their bed, right? You got to pick, you got to adapt. And if you don't want to adapt, you're going to be stuck. There's no other way around it.
exactly. And this goes, there's so many people that they don't know that there is a trend, like they're not even aware of the trend and they're on the space. So for example, like I see this a lot with content creators. So content creators that are trying to make their content their full-time income, they're having a lot of issues because they don't know really how to build a brand and how to monetize their content. And this is something that I've been helping a lot of creators with on the side, because I noticed this so back in the day, a few years ago, I lived in a van for a little bit, and while I was living in the van, I was managing. I had an OnlyFans agency, so this was like my first experiencing with having an
That's
agency.
smart.
But I was doing the work myself, so I didn't hire anyone.
Yeah.
So having this OnlyFans agency, I realized that a lot of the girls that I was managing, for some reason, they couldn't understand that you have to build a brand. Don't just post content just to post content. You're not building a fan base. You're building a not a fan base, but I'll say it like this: a fan base that's short term. Like you're feeding their attention span for like a week, and that's it.
Yeah.
Your whole plan, even as a business owner, is to keep your customers keep coming back, right? You need to have upsells, whatever, right? So for that to happen, there needs to be a deeper message. There needs to be a reason why someone wants to follow you. So posting things on TikTok, posting things on Instagram is not enough. You really have to have a message and really let people know what your message is every single time. It has
100%.
to
And yeah.
go. No, go ahead.
100%. Oh yeah, I was just gonna say, like, that's one of, like I said, with my clothing brand, like not having that brand, having the message behind the brand, it really like doesn't help. And nowadays you have to have a message, and that's kind of what I learned from the clothing brand business, and what I am kind of use in my social media management business to help these brands build online and their presence is, yeah, just you have to make sure you have a brand. And you can't, like I said, like you said, oh yeah, sure, you'll be good for a month or two, but what about next year? What about 2 years from now? So I agree with you
Yeah.
on the brand part.
And also people not understanding that the niche or the business that they're in, it's not sustainable as well. Like for example, like I don't trust any company. Any company could go bankrupt. So if you rely on different companies for certain things, you have to like be careful and have different options. For example, going back to the OnlyFans thing, when I had the OnlyFans agency, a lot of these girls were depending on their Instagrams. Like, what are you doing? Get on TikTok, right? get on TikTok, get on Twitter, get on Reddit, right? A lot of these girls
Hmm.
don't know how to well, most people in general, they don't know how to like build content in these different platforms because you have to do it a very different type of way. And that's
Yeah.
why there's OnlyFans agencies, because they do these type of stuff, right?
Hmm.
So yeah, man. And when I started realizing that you can't really rely on just one social media page, and you have to expand and send that message to them in a different form, you're really now you're playing the game. Now you're building a real
Yeah.
brand, because you're getting people from TikTok, Instagram, Reddit understanding your brand and being real fans instead of just short-term fans, you know?
100%, 100%. You gotta know, because if you're in this form of like business, like you said, OnlyFans, you have to play that game, or else you're not gonna get anywhere. Just that's just an example, but you have to spread yourself. Once you have like that's the same with business. Once get, let's say you get your agency up, making a bunch of money a month, you can't stick to it. You have to spread. You'd have to diversify,
Yeah,
or else, because this is one thing that happened with the social media marketing agency, the whole industry itself, was whenever Facebook had that iOS 16 update, or not Facebook, but Apple, and then they messed up Facebook ads, and a bunch of social media agencies, they don't know what to do. But they were making a bunch of good money, right? But then they weren't diversifying. So after you reach some success, as in business, and also like in your brand, start to diversify, because then you'll have those people that actually do want to see more content or different types of content of you, on
exactly.
another platform, and then now you're getting newer people on from that platform. It's a great way to, I guess, if you want to
Yeah.
grow in the online space, you need to diversify, but you have to make sure you have a following first. If not, I say that because some people, they overwhelm themselves, right?
That's true.
Some people, like, it's good, like, if you don't have a following yet, but you can manage to post on all different types of social media, that's good. I actually agree with that. But if it overwhelms you to do that at first, then stick to one thing, and then build that up, and then you can diversify, and then now you probably have some experience on what you can do better or what you can change, right? But if it doesn't bother you, posting on let's say you have a YouTube video, like you said, this is a podcast. This will be on video and audio, and then you probably have YouTube video, and you cut that into clips and put it on TikTok, and now you're in 3 different platforms just off of one video. So you just have to know, kind of, I guess, uh whether or not you can handle it or not, and just know where you are, and know what you can handle, what
Yeah.
you can do, and go from there.
And if you can't handle it, then outsource it. Hire someone to like
100%.
help you
Yeah.
out and coach you. And I thought about Gary Vee just now, because he used to say 80-20 rule. So
Hmm.
80% this social media platform, and then the rest 20%. That's a
Yeah.
good way. Like when you're first starting off, go 80% TikTok, and then the rest 20% Instagram, Facebook, Reddit, whatever. Because then it's like some of these platforms are in an upside trend. TikTok is one of them. So, pay attention to that one, because that's going to be the most beneficial one. And I see this a lot with dances. So my background, I went to in high school, that was a performing arts school.
Hmm.
And there was a lot of ballet students, but they like dancing other things like hip hop, break dancing, and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I always thought they were going to be very successful if they understood how to post content out there from them dancing, right? Because it falls under the entertainment category, and
100%.
entertainment does way better on these social media platforms because it's for entertainment. That's the whole
Hmm.
goal, to get a lot of
Yeah.
views. But if you're solving a problem, now you have a kind of like a business, so you're not going to
Yeah.
get that many views, but you're still going to be successful in your own right, because the goal is not really to get a lot of views when you're solving problems.
Yeah.
It's to get income.
And I think that's one of the smartest things that some business owners do, is they know how to kind of articulate that. So what I mean is, when, like you said, solving a problem, let's say, how to do this one thing, a smart business owner would go on TikTok and post it in a way where it grabs you just for 30 seconds. It grabs you and it directs you to the path, like let's say a YouTube video that you created of long form content, right? If you know how to do that, for your business, you're explaining something or having a problem to solve, that will benefit you so much. Like, just knowing how to create that type of content, small form, short form content, and directing the traffic from that to like a long form content. It's
Exactly.
amazing. Yeah.
Exactly.
Like, I promise you, it will work.
Yeah. Yeah. And dude, I look at these dancers, right, that I used to go to school with, and I see a lot of potential, because I see the potential in everyone. I see a lot of potential. And I wish I could just like call them up, right? Because I wasn't friends with a lot of them, but I wish I could just call them up and be like, let me help you. Because you could really make a full-time income of just being a dancer, right? You just
Yeah.
have to know what category do you really fall on. Like you're a great dancer, but you like to talk, then do tutorial videos, right? So
Hmm.
if you just like to dance, then go, follow some trends. There's trends on these platforms, right? These videos, certain music, make a video on that. Your life will totally change in a heartbeat the minute one video goes viral. So it's I wish people understood that, because then they would give it a try. It's kind of like what you said. Do you rather do 5 years knowing that in the end you're going to be successful, right? And to me, with these, let's say I'm a dancer and I have a regular job, but I'm doing dancing on the other side. I would do that. I will post for 5 years. I will post videos of me dancing for 5 years. And I guarantee you, you will have some type of success. You will get offers. You will get promotions. You will get all types of offers if you fall on
100%.
the entertainment area. And if you're falling on the solution side, giving tutorials and giving classes, now you have a business, a brand, and you also are getting the same benefits of an entertainer. So it's really cool that the world runs this way now, that you could actually, if you have a hobby or you have a strength, you could just film it on your phone. And if you have a good plan and a good strategy, you could really make a full-time income from that.
100%. I totally agree with that. Like, you're doing the videos anyway. Why not try to learn a little bit on how to, monetize it? Like,
Exactly.
so like you, instead of, yeah, you could, I mean, especially with TikTok, if you post enough, one video will hit. That's just how the algorithm works. You just have to post enough to actually get to that. That's one
Yeah.
video hits off. Now you have brands wanting you to wear their clothes or something for your next dance video, but you have to like know a little bit about, like, I guess how the business area works to take it, not take advantage, but to like get something out of it, for income. If you, yeah, sure, your video blew up, but then you're not replying to your DMs or email, like, how are you gonna, now you're gonna be 5 years down the line, with videos blown up, but then you haven't responded to a single email, you haven't looked at a comment, and now you don't like, you haven't taken advantage of what
Exactly.
this opportunity, what, the opportunity that you have. So it's more, I guess, knowing about like what you're doing and what, like, think about it on the outside form, like, oh yeah, this Addison Rae, she makes money when she first started doing video, dance videos. Like, that's just a normal person. You can do the same thing. Just see what she does, and look up some
Yeah.
tutorials. Like, it doesn't hurt to just see how the whatever app you're posting, how it works, and how some people make money. Who
Exactly.
doesn't like
Exactly.
money?
And for the people listening that are in different niches that I didn't even mention, for example, shoe cleaning, anything, makeup, right? If you post content for a good amount of time, and you start to understand what people like to see, because people will let you know, right? If people love your video, you will know, right? And you have to, you'll figure it out subconsciously. You don't even have to like figure it out by going on YouTube and asking other people like what are the trends, right? Because if you're on the app, you will recognize what people like to see. And if you could make your video similar to those videos where it's clickbait or it's entertainment, pure entertainment, and there's other small details that attracts people to the videos, and you're able to do that and implement that, dude, you could do it with any niche. It doesn't matter what you're
Definitely,
doing.
I
Doesn't matter
agree.
what you're doing.
Yeah, especially with like shoe cleaning. So like, I would, these videos, if you look, ASMR shoe cleaning or like ASMR like leather shining shoes, right? They have like millions and millions of views, because that's a niche that's like, obviously you don't think about it, but that people watch that stuff. Like,
Yeah,
you just, like, any, like you said, any niche can be, can have that traction. You just have to do what you just have to do. You have to post,
yeah, yeah. And I think the most interesting thing about this is that people that used to be interested in odd things, like for example, let's say a person likes to build chairs, right?
Hmm.
And he films the process of building chairs or even tables. What happens is, now that there's a computer that's able to put that that video in front of your face,
Hmm.
and that's your interest, it's like it's there now. It's something that you could actually touch, you could like, you could comment, you could, now it's like basically validating your own interest. Like, oh my God, there's people actually doing this. And now you're watching all these videos of people building chairs and tables So
100%.
there's always going to be a niche for this because a lot of people are interested in odd things, right? It's like people love a lot of things. I think the other day I met a dude that likes to build tents for no reason. Like he builds tents. Like it doesn't make any sense. He goes camping. He doesn't even like camping that much, but he likes the process of building tents, and it has to do with him being a. He told me something about his childhood, and like he did that with his dad. But he actually enjoys it. He likes to build tents, and he builds it like he'll go out with his friends and go camping, and he always ends up building the tents himself. Like he doesn't need any help. So, but just weird things like that. It's like you will become successful out of that if you find a way where you can monetize that. So it's cool. It's pretty cool.
100%. Yeah. Like learning how to monetize something is probably one of the biggest factors, apart from if you're not having trouble with posting something online. Like if you are already posting something online, why not try to monetize it? You know, like it's there. You already posted it. You might as well
Yeah,
take advantage of this process that you can, maybe, I mean, you're posting anyways. And if you don't have a problem with posting your hobbies, if you're not embarrassed, which you shouldn't be, by the way, because there's a bunch of weird stuff online that aren't weird to a specific group of people. People
exactly.
would be, it's like almost 8 billion people in the world. There is someone that's interested
Yeah,
in that weird thing you're interested in also. It's just a matter of you have to
yeah,
post it. There's a group of people. You can't think, inside the box. Think outside the box. There's so many people,
yeah.
and that's what allows it to get monetized. Because no matter what you're interested in, there is people that are also interested in that thing.
Exactly. And I'm loving the creativity that people have because um I seen some videos. This is guy. He posts a lot of motivational stuff.
Mhm.
Very motivational. Doesn't show his face at all. It's like he's a shadow and he changed his voice. So it's like very, very low tone type of voice. And I don't think it's his voice. I think he modified it a little bit.
Yeah,
So you're not showing your face. You change your audio, you change your voice. Um, Now what? Like what excuse are you gonna have? Because if this
exactly.
guy could do it, anyone else could do it. And
Yeah,
it's like, especially when people are builders, you don't have to show your face. All you're doing is showing your hands, right? If you're dancing, I don't know how you're gonna do it with dancing, but you sit down and think about it. They
wear a
might.
mask like the Jabberwockies.
Yeah, wear a mask. Yeah, wear a suit. Wear this.
Exactly.
There's this kid. He's from my hometown. He's a dancer, and he did something that popped an idea in my head. Um, he wore the whole Spider-Man suit and was dancing. So even cosplay, like you could be
Yeah,
dancing with different characters, which is pretty cool. So that's an idea someone could take and run with it. But there's it's endless
definitely.
amount of fucking ideas. It's crazy.
Really though, you just have to be broad and think about what you want to do, and
Yeah.
you have it. Don't Nothing is too weird, especially in today's world.
Yeah. Question. So would you consider yourself a serial entrepreneur? If you know what that means?
Elaborate.
So serial entrepreneur is a person that loves a lot of different industry and a lot of different type of companies and have a lot of different ideas. So, which basically this is what it looks like. You start a business, you create that business, and you expand it into different avenues, or you start a second business and you're actually able to become very successful because you know how to run businesses at this point. You have
Mhm.
experience, but you have so many interests and so many ideas that you know how to monetize that you start a project that's getting cash flow, and then you start a whole other project, and now you're a serial entrepreneur because you have your hands everywhere.
100%. I believe I am. Because I mean, obviously, I'm focused on social media marketing right now as a term of cash flow to serve those other projects that I want to pursue in the future. Like I said, I want to get into real estate. And once you get into real estate, obviously make a lot of money there. Then I'll put it into passion projects next. I'm into watches. I'm into cars. Now, yeah, I mean, I have all these. I mean, yeah, being an entrepreneur, you're interested in a lot of things, and being a serial entrepreneur, you want to get into all these things, and it's just a matter of time for me, I guess. Yeah, but yeah, I would say I'm a serial
Yeah,
entrepreneur.
it's so funny because everything you just mentioned, I'm interested in. It's hilarious. You said real estate, you say watch, you said cars. I'm all in it. But
That's great.
but yo, I wanted to tell you thanks for doing this, dude. It's been a pleasure. But if there was one message that you want to give out to the people out there that are watching this, go ahead.
Yeah, no, thank you. It was an honor being, being a guest here on your podcast. And I guess one thing I would want people to, I guess, kind of take in as a tip or as a meaning is you have enough, right? There's this quote by Marcus Aurelius, or not Marcus Aurelius. There's a quote in Psalm 23:15, I believe. My cup will runneth over. Got this from also Iman Ghazi, but I saw it the verse itself before that. But what my cup runneth over just means you have enough. You already you have, it's basically an abundant quote. You have enough of what to start. You don't need all these fancy gears to start your business, or you don't need these clothes to attract that girl. You have enough. So that would be my my tip there.
Yeah, yeah. And to expand that a little bit, that is a major tip, dude. I hopefully people take it in because that is something I've said to guys for so many years. Because I always say this, I kind of had a failed attempt into being a dating coach back in the day when I was 17, 18. I wanted to make a dating company. But my advice was always that this false idea that you have about yourself, it is false. Like legit, it's really false. Like
Yeah,
you're not a loser, dude. If you are a loser because you're telling yourself you are a loser, right? And this idea that you are full of everything that you already need, it's so true. Like you are enough. You already have happiness inside you, right? You have sadness inside you, right? You have all these emotions inside you. So if you want to be happy, you can be happy. You can, right? You have the
exactly.
ability to. You have the emotion inside you. You already have that feeling in you, right? And when it comes to beliefs, when you're happy, you probably have happy thoughts. So
Yeah.
if you put yourself in a really good emotion, you're going to have most likely good
Yeah.
thoughts. And if
Being
you have,
abundant is just, yeah, 100%. Sorry to interrupt you there, but
no, you're good.
being abundant about what you have, like literally, if you're a healthy person, you're already ahead. You have enough. You're not, you don't have a disability. You're not in a third world country. If you're living in the USA or another first world country and you're a healthy person, you have enough. You don't have to stop like worrying about, oh, I don't have this, I don't have that. You can get it. All right.
Yeah,
You just be abundant about what you have already, especially if you grew up in a privileged, household. You don't need all these fancier things than when you already have. Like that, you definitely have enough. Go pursue what you want to pursue.
yeah. Because to me, it's all marketing. That's all it is. It's all marketing.
Yeah.
Marketers sometimes ruin everything. So it's just bound to happen all the time. Like, because marketing is all about having this message. And if there's watch companies, that build watches. And with the way to promote those watches is to make you feel like you're better because you're wearing this watch. And it's just like this whole fake idea. Like, I'm cool with it because that's what capitalism is, right? They have to promote their products somehow. And the whole message that a lot of companies have is that you're going to be better off with this service or product,
Hmm.
right? And it gives you a sense. This is the negative of living in a capitalist society where
Yeah.
now your self-esteem is being affected because you think you need all these products and services to be happy when you don't. You could feel happy without all these services and products, but because marketing is all in front of us,
Yeah.
we start to believe that we need all these things in products and services, which is really not true. Look,
Yeah.
I could have. I noticed this when I had the van by myself. Like, I don't need anything else. I'm so happy and peaceful, and all these people are chasing things that don't even matter. Like, it's ridiculous. But I mean, that is, if you're aware of that, you are a very privileged person now,
Yeah.
because there is a sense of abundance, like you said, right? I said this a lot with dating. A lot of guys approach dating with a mindset of, I need her more than she needs me. I'm not good enough, so I gotta try my best to flirt with her and use these lines, right? But you don't need all that bullshit. You are enough. Who you are
Yeah.
is enough. So all of these fake beliefs that you need things to get things, it's, in some cases, it can be true. There's some truth to that. You need some things to get
Yeah.
things, but in 90% of your life, like, you could actually attain all these things without actually attaining them.
Yeah, it's kind of like a paralyzing effect on you. Like, because I experienced this firsthand, thinking that I need this thing to do something, right? So one of the very first experiences was when I had my iPhone 8 Plus. This was when it first came out, and I just upgraded from a Samsung, right? So I was like, oh yeah, I got this camera. And then I was like, oh, I'm gonna start making YouTube videos. And then I started watching YouTube videos, right? And I'm like, this guy has this camera, this fancy camera. I need that to make YouTube videos. But in reality, like I have my phone, which has a perfectly good camera to make YouTube videos in that I wanted to do anyways. Like, and then I didn't do it. I didn't make any videos because I thought I needed this camera. I got the camera and I didn't make any videos until I was like, I told myself, I'm like, hey, you wanted this to make YouTube videos. Go make YouTube videos. What are you doing? You know?
Exactly.
And that's kind of like, yeah, just you already have enough. You don't need to get these fancier things. Like if you have a car, you don't need a fancier car to get from point A to point B. You
Yeah.
know, don't allow yourself to get paralyzed by these materialistic things, you know,
Exactly.
from letting you
Exactly.
move forward.
Exactly. And just to let people know, like I already feel rich, to be honest. I already feel rich because I don't know. I'm not where I want to be income wise because I
Hmm.
have high ambitions, but I don't need all that money. Like I really
Yeah.
don't. Like dude, even looking in the background, like I have these things like to organize things. Like I don't even
Yeah.
need that, right? It says you don't have to be perfect. I buy these things to make my life a little bit more simpler because I'm
Yeah.
an organized person. But do I really need this? No, not really. But if you take that out of your fucking mind, and you'll be able to achieve a lot of great things, and having that abundance mindset, like you said.
100%. Yeah, I totally believe that. Like right now, like I'm in such a privileged spot to pursue this business without having to, you know, have all these restrictions in terms of like finding a place to live. Like I still live with my parents. Like I have that, you know, you have to, you know, like put yourself like in a position where you understand what you have and what you have is enough. If you don't appreciate what you have now, you're never going to appreciate what you have in the future. You know, J. Cole
Exactly.
had a line in his one of his songs, you know, you gotta love yours. Like it literally like somebody always has it worse than you. And there was another line, I forgot where it's from, but saying like, um, if you look at somebody else's closet, would you trade your closet for theirs? Probably not, you know?
Exactly.
So,
Exactly. I said the same thing when I sprained my ankle. The first day, it was horrible because I felt worthless. I couldn't walk or
mhm,
anything, and I was like, wow, like I was so privileged to walk with 2 feet. There's someone, and in this injury, it is nothing. There's someone that just cut their leg off.
yeah,
Fuck them
it's,
say, but like
yeah,
someone that's
it
having
humbles you.
worse than me. When I feel hungry, right? I'm like, I haven't eaten in a day or something like that. There's people that haven't eaten in fucking 4 days, right?
Yeah.
There's someone that has it worse than you, and definitely be privileged. Even the most fucked up situation that you put yourself in, it could have been way worse.
Hmm.
And that's not to make you feel better. That's the reality. That's the truth. Like there's been so many people that lived in this earth for the past hundreds of years, hundreds and thousands of years. There's people that experience way worse, you know?
Yeah. And I agree with that. Like, and obviously, you know, I'm not saying to like, oh, you can't complain or you can't, you know, like you can't be hurt about the fact that something happened to you. Of course you can, you know, that's your emotion. But don't allow it to control you to past a certain point. You know, obviously, like, yeah, sure, you know, your car tire pop. Yeah, you could be like, you can complain about it for 5 minutes, but then let it go. Like nothing,
Yeah,
you know, complaining about it more than that is not gonna help you in any case, in any way, you know.
yeah,
At least be glad that your car is not totaled or something, right?
exactly.
So
Yeah.
yeah, complain for 5 minutes, but then after that, you know, appreciate that what you have out of that situation.
That's
So, and
almost
it
that's
allows your yeah. Sorry, yeah.
No, you're good. You're good. That's almost like being in monk mode because I remember when my tire popped. I deserved it by the way because I was racing. When my tire popped about like 2 years ago. I got out the car and I was like, oh, it happens with a smile on my face. And most people will find that really weird and odd. But me and my boy, we really understood this because we came from the dating
Hmm.
side of the world because it's a whole world of its own. We really realized that whenever we get rejected, it's really part of the game, right? And in life, it, it's not like my tire is not a rejection, but it's something outside that I couldn't really control. So
Yeah.
it's like part of the game. And my friend did something really cool that I found that really works with a lot of people was that when we were little. I don't know if you would do this as a grown adult now, but when we were way younger, we would get rejected and do a bunch of push-ups as the girl walks away. So he's opening up his body, and if you're able to really put your body into certain positions,
Yeah.
the science and data to back up that it affects your chemicals in your mind. So if you open up your body a little bit more, there's certain chemicals that really affect your mood. So yeah, it's pretty cool. There's a lot of things that you could do to at first to understand these emotions and not kill yourself with these emotions.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. I agree. You don't let these emotions kill you. Like, yeah, sure, dwell on it for 5 minutes, but
Yeah,
after that, especially if it's not in your control, you can't do anything. Why be sad about it? Just you
exactly.
have to move on, like move forward. There's nothing. If you hit rock bottom, the best thing about hitting rock bottom is there's only a one way up, which is up.
Exactly,
So
exactly, exactly. But yo, again, thanks. I really appreciate it. It's been a pleasure having you here. Where could they find you?
so you guys can find me on Instagram or YouTube. So my Instagram is just at Scott Gonzalez, and my YouTube is Scott space Gonzalez, and then my TikTok is Scott James Gonzalez. So those are the three platforms I mainly post on. You might see me on Twitter, but probably not. So I'm gonna give those out.
Nice. So go follow the guy. He has some heat coming out because I know you're posting content now.
100%. Yeah.
And on YouTube, and I love your content on YouTube because if you're trying
Thank
to
you.
get into the SMMA industry, this is a guy you should follow because he has a lot of insight, especially because he just started a couple months ago or even a year ago, right? So it's so cool to be in a position where you just started. You have a lot of a good sense of what you have to do in the beginning stages, because the beginning stages are always hard. So definitely follow this
100%. Yeah.
guy. Anyone that's
Same here.
listening, hope you guys got a lot of value from this. There was so much we talked about, and believe it or not, it's almost been 2 hours. It's the first podcast
Didn't
I've
even feel
done.
like it.
2 hours, right? A lot of value, a lot of different topics, and hopefully you guys take some good information from this. If you enjoyed this podcast, like, follow whatever platforms you're in, follow us. There's going to be more heat on the way. This is the Stay Sharp podcast, and I'll see you guys next time.